Okay, guys, welcome to episode 3 of Maverex and Mate. I'm Maverex, and this is my mate,
Daniel.
Daniel No. And it is currently 4:28 p.m., 16th of September, 2022. And this is, guys, long story short, this is my best mate right here. We've been through so much, so many memories, so many friggin' experiences, so many years. Man, how old were we when we first met?
Must have been year 7, so we were like 12 years old. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, 12 years old.
I've known you for more than half my life. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
12 years old. Whoa, yeah,
Yeah.
dang. And you know what they say? Apparently, I read somewhere where if you've been friends with someone for more than 7 years, then you're pretty much stuck with them for life. So, fortunately, this guy's freaking awesome, and we get along really well. Just like I just realized a lot of my close friends just happen to be Teochew as well. Like, for those people that don't know who Teochew are, we're from like a tiny village in China, and my parents came from Cambodia though. Like, they migrated to Cambodia and then to Australia, but your family went to
Pretty similar.
Vietnam, right?
They were born in Cambodia.
Oh shit.
Lived there for a few years and then moved to Vietnam first, and then came to Australia after that. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So we call ourselves Gaki Nang, the Gu Chai Gui eaters.
Yeah.
And so we've known each other for more than half our life since year 12 years old, which
12
was
years old.
2006.
Yes.
2006, that means it was 16 years ago. Whoa! My man, my longest
Time
brother
flies,
right here,
man.
my longest brother, man. Oh
Yeah.
my god. So yeah, I just want to go straight into it, bro. I got some memories I want to share. Do you
Yeah.
remember when you used to buy milk for me?
Whoa, this is a throwback now. What, like at the school canteen or something? Yeah. Like, did you just give me money to go and buy milk for you or something?
Yeah. So what happened was back then I was like, oh yeah, I need to drink some calcium so I can get strong and become 6 foot.
Yeah.
And back then the ideology was that you got to drink milk to get bigger. Obviously it's a lie. That shit gives you osteoporosis. But I was so shy to buy like 1 liter of milk at school that I would give Daniel extra money. So I'll be like, Daniel, can you please buy me some 1 liter milk? And then I'll give him extra cash just as an incentive so he can go.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember that, but like...
You
yeah,
don't remember?
I remember, like, I sort of remember. But did I buy you 1 liter milk? Or
Yeah.
did I buy you just like those small...
No, the 1 liter milk.
Oh. I remember buying those like Pura like cartons or something from the school canteen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I got my nickname. I nicknamed myself Pura when I was playing Dota Warcraft
Yeah.
3. I bought Aussies.
Yeah. I think we all just wished we were really tall. It's like in year 7 before we had our growth spurts, we were all pretty short and we just wanted to be taller. And then like, yeah, suddenly we all got growth spurts in like year 8 or year 9 or something.
Yeah.
I went from like 148 to like almost 180 or something like in year 9, I remember.
What?
Yeah.
In
Like
1 year?
year 7 I was really short, and then like year 8 I grew a little bit, but then by the time I got to like year 9 and 10, I pretty much got to like the height I am now, which is like 180. But I remember
giraffe.
when I was in year 7 and we did our first measurements in science class, I was like 148 or
Really?
149 or something, yeah.
I
So I grew like a whole 30 centimeter ruler basically, like
Wow, in 1 year.
like 1 or 2 years, yeah.
That's crazy, man. Because I don't remember a time that you were shorter than me. Like, I don't remember a time that you were short.
Year
in
7,
general.
year 7. Yeah.
Yeah, I think at that time we were kind of like
We were all
the same
short,
height.
We were all short.
Yeah,
year
yeah.
7, yeah.
All I remember is like there's a picture of me and you in front of the Sydney Opera House or something, and we're just like some shit.
But we were like so cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Although we thought we were cool anyways from our perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was 2006, so like 16 years ago.
Yeah.
And so you stayed at Fairvale High School until year 10, end of year 10.
Yep.
And then where did you go?
And then I did the selective test again, which I didn't know you could even do that. I thought you just did it in year 6 and then you finished, but then you can still apply for it after that. So my sister told me about it. And so yeah, I applied had to do like an entrance exam again, and got into Helston Agricultural, and then so did year 11 and 12 there. Yeah.
You trader, man. You freaking trader, bro.
Yeah.
So you were in Holston, and then that's when we kind of stopped talking. Well,
A little bit, yeah.
I feel like we
because
didn't-
like we stopped seeing each other every day, so
Yeah.
naturally. But like we were still like messaging each other stupid shit on Facebook and MSN. But we didn't see each other for a while.
Yeah. I don't think I saw you once during school.
That whole 2 years, you reckon?
I don't think I did.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Because I don't remember you having a party or anything.
Nah.
Or if
Well,
you did, you didn't
that-
fucking invite me.
That was the first time I started studying serious, because like year 7 to 10 was like so fun.
It's like a write-off.
Yeah, we were just playing footy and basketball and chasing girls and stuff. And then year 11 and 12 is when it got more serious. And then I was like, got to Helston, and everyone was focused on academics. And so for those 2 years, yeah, like pretty much didn't go out until the first party after was like after HSC. When we went to like Philip's house.
Yeah.
Remember that part?
Yeah.
That was like the biggest like celebration afterwards. And that was pretty much like the first time I started drinking and stuff too. So,
That was the first time you ever
like I
drank.
had beer and stuff, but that was the first time we had like shots. And that,
Oh,
I remember that,
really?
that was the first time where I felt like, whoa, like I'm drunk. Like this is what this is what being drunk feels like. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, okay. So how did it feel like leaving your comfort zone of Fairvale and then you go into this whole new school? Did you know anyone
was
before you
weird.
went?
Yeah,
Or like-
I knew like probably 4 or 5 people from primary school.
Oh, yeah.
So that was all right. But it was, the good thing about it was there were also like another 10 students or something starting new as well. So I hung out with them at first, and then slowly like met some of the other guys from class and stuff.
Yeah.
And then so yeah, like the first few months was a bit weird because everyone just knew you as like the new kid.
Yeah.
But that was kind of helpful in a way because like everyone in the grade was pretty excited to have some new people. So they were like interested in getting
so
to
they
know
were
you.
really
and
open
stuff.
and
Yeah.
welcoming.
Yeah. And like, so it was a bit easy to like just float around the different friend groups because I could like be friends with someone and then yeah, like just know people from different groups and just hang around.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the baggage of like 4 years of like, you know, this person dated this person and this person hates this person.
Yeah.
I was just like the new kid who came,
Yeah.
and I was just trying to make friends with everyone. And but yeah, it was like a good environment just to focus on academics because like at Fairvale, you know, like by the end of year 10 we were also just kind of like, you know, I spent year 10 in and out of like a relationship and all that, and then there was all this drama, so it was kind of good for me to go away and get a fresh start. And so yeah,
Nice little change of environment, and then because when you change your environment, like your mindset changes. and
yeah,
then
it was a
people
very
around you.
that was like my first big like growth experience, I would say, because up until that point like it was just pretty standard, and then that was the first time I had to like, you know, catch a train to go to school and like go to the library after school by myself and like travel for like school sport and stuff. And so like that was like my first big growth experience.
So, what would you say are a few lessons that you learned from that transition?
Just like my mindset going into that was just be very open-minded, and like so that was the first time I made friends with such a different group of people, because like we grew up in Cabramatta, like Canley Heights, and most of my friends were from the same like ethnicity and background.
Yeah.
And at Helston was the first time I met people from like rural Australia, and I got along with them, and we watched like basketball together, like watch NBA and stuff, like so became friends with those guys. And just like people from different backgrounds and people with different interests, just being open-minded and like learning how to be friends with those people and like see a different perspective of life.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like those, like, you really got to step out of your comfort zone, eh? Because you've been stuck with the same thing every single day for 4 years.
Yeah, we pretty much grew up in a bubble, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone knew everyone, and that was the first time where I was like, whoa, there are people that exist outside of the
Yeah.
Asian bubble.
Yeah, there's white people.
Yeah, there's black people.
There's black people. There's Indians. Like what? Yeah, because our school, Fairvale High School, which I didn't know until like later on, was the reason why it's called Fairvale is because it's in the middle of Fairfield and Canley Vale. Like,
You didn't know that?
I did
Yeah.
not have no clue.
Of course. The name, man, Fairvale.
I had no
yeah.
clue. I was like, where did they get this name from? But then, yeah, so like that area is a lot of Asians. So that
Our
we were
grade was
stuck in
pretty
that
much
area.
like 50% Asian, you reckon? Our grade?
I reckon more.
More?
Probably like at least like 60.
Yeah.
And then Lebanese and Middle Eastern, and but they're mostly Asians and Vietnamese, especially Vietnamese. So yeah, so that was so you moved in 2010?
20,
Yeah, 2010.
2010, yeah. 2010 and 11 spent at Helston. Yeah.
So how do you think things would have panned out if you stayed and you didn't go?
Probably pretty different, honestly, like, because when I went to Helston, I did like economics and modern history and politics and stuff, and then that was like sort of broadened my interests and my worldview about like what I could do. And so I sort of pursued that, and then that's like the job that I'm working in now. Like, I'm in state government, I'm in economics and policy development and stuff. And so my interest in that first came from my Helston like economics teacher and my modern history teacher. Taught me to think about things like capitalism and how our economic system and all of that. And so I think that was like probably the biggest life path change. From if I stayed at Fairvale, I might have done something like more traditional, I don't know, like banking or finance. I don't know, like actually probably not. Those things are fucking, those things are boring as hell. But I think it's probably that. Like, it's probably my career sort of pathway might have been different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so going back to the whole idea of stepping out of your comfort zone, you did that again when you went to do overseas, like when you went Canada.
Bro, that was wild.
You did exchange in Canada, you did exchange in Scotland.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so it was in my second year. My sister was really the one who encouraged me to do it. So full credits to Jess, if you're watching this.
Shout out.
But she went and she came back and told me about it. And I was a bit skeptical at first. I was like, oh, you know, why do you need to go to Canada to go to uni? Like, uni in Australia is fun too.
Yeah.
You know, there's always like resistance.
Yeah, you're always making excuses.
Because it was like a long process to fill out the form. Like, to apply, it was a long process.
Oh,
You
I
had
can
to like fill out a lot of forms. You had to match subjects and you had to do all this stuff. And the semester before I went, like, I had to apply and I was like already past the due date. Pretty much.
Okay.
And then my sister was like, who cares? Like, just do it.
Really?
And then so I rushed the application and I had to like knock on doors to get signatures and stuff. It was like very close that I didn't go, actually. Like, there were probably 2 or 3 things where I could have easily just been like, oh, it's too hard, like I'm not going to get the application done. But I don't know, something within me or something just said like, you really need to go. So I remember that week, like, I would stay up and like fill things out, and I even had to like go and knock on a lecturer's door for her to approve my subject and get her signature. And I even had to do a summer school course just so that I had the prerequisite to, you know, take that subject the following year. So there were a lot of things like, you know, in the way of me like not going. I could have easily just been like, oh fuck, it's too hard, I'll just go the next year. But the reason I'm happy that I went at that time was because I was really young still. I was only 19. Like, going when I was 23 was different. Because when you're 19, you have no idea. Like, you're just like, everything is exciting and new. So I think, like, if I were to compare the two, the first one was more fun. But the second one was like fun because like you had more money and you're more mature. But like,
so just for those people that are wondering, when he was 19, he went to Canada.
Yeah.
When he was 23, he went to Scotland.
Yeah.
And both of these were for uni.
Yeah. So yeah, I applied and then I got in, and then yeah, like it was just the craziest time of my life. Like I was 19, I hadn't experienced like anything yet other than like a few drinking parties like in friends' backyards and stuff. But when I got there, it was pretty much like American Pie, like
Dang.
frat parties on the streets. Everyone face painted, wearing their school colors, and like people jumping off roofs, doing
like
keg stands.
Alpha and Omega and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, so O Week was nuts, like drinking every day and like.
So what is O Week for those that don't
O
know?
Week is orientation week, so they do it really big over there in Canada. They get like actually like international artists and stuff to perform. I was meant to be Sean Kingston.
What? What do you mean you're meant to be?
So
Sean
he was the headliner, and then like a week before he got cancelled because he was in court for like a sexual assault case, and so they had to find a replacement, which was like
Sorry, that's not funny.
some Canadian guy. But yeah, it was meant to be Sean Kingston. But yeah, I met some of my best friends over there, like living in the dorms. Talua, if you're watching this, he was my next door neighbor. And yeah, Talua will come back into this story a bit later because now you know Talua. And he changed the course of your life.
Our lives.
But yeah, that one, when you're 19, you're very like impressionable. Like I did a lot of things for the first time when I was there, and my attitude for that, me and my friend Andrew, like who went as well, we watched the movie from Jim Carrey called Yes Man.
Yes.
And that was our philosophy for that trip. So we basically said yes.
Wait, he went to the same uni as
No,
you?
he went to Queen's, which is like a different one.
Yeah.
But so by the end of the trip, I was known as like so my name was Daniel, but they would always call me like D because I'd be down for anything.
And you give them the D.
Yeah, big D. But D for down for anything, because like if someone wanted to go and get pizza on a Wednesday night at like 2 a.m, they'd just knock on my door and I'd be like, yeah, let's go.
That's the best, man.
But it was easy for me because I didn't have to study that hard. Like I just had to pass and fail.
Yeah.
So it was a time in my life where I had a lot of freedom just to say yes to everything and go out in the middle of the week, and made a lot of friends. So
Wow, so that would have been the first experience for you where you really started to see the whole world. Because when you moved from Fairvale to Hurlston for year 11 and year 12, that's pretty big change already. But this, you're literally flying to the other side of the world.
Yep.
You don't know a single person. Everyone's
not
speaking,
a single person.
Everyone has a Canadian accent, and like were you the only Australian as well?
Nah, there were like 4 or 5 other ones, but being an Australian was such a plus. Like when they heard that you were Australian, they just wanted to like talk to you straight away.
Yeah.
So it was like that was really helpful in making friends.
Yeah, it's like because you're exotic. That's why. And it's like when I'm in, I'll attest to this too. Like whenever I'm in Canada, the guys will be like, "Oh, well, where you from, man? Where you from?" And then the girls like, "Oh, where you from? Where you from?" Like everyone is so interested in you, even if they're guys and girls. So like everyone's just so friendly in Canada as well. I can only imagine how life would be if weed was already legalized back then, bro.
Well, like that didn't stop anyone. Let me just say that didn't really stop anyone. So.
Oh man, so you said all you needed were passes to finish that.
Oh yeah,
exchange?
yeah. Like I just had to pass, and they were all like second year subjects, so they were pretty easy. So I didn't have to study that much.
Yeah. So all you had to study was like alcohol and anatomy and human anatomy.
Chemistry, biology. Yeah.
What was the most memorable experience?
Can't really narrow it down to one, but if I were to say one, it'd probably be my like farewell party when like everyone from the building came to our floor, and that was just like, that was just a wild night.
It would have felt so surreal, all these people turned up just for me, and like it's bittersweet, because like you feel so much love, but you know that it's coming to an end.
Yeah.
Like, I can feel that already. I was even there. But how did that compare to Scotland? Because I feel like Scotland was way more tame for you. Hey, you were more so just learning about history and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty fun too. Like our floor was really fun. We had like a mix of Aussies and Americans and Canadians as well. But yeah, that was a bit more tame. Pretty wild still. Like I always end up on the wild floor for some reason. Like our floor was the most like willing to go out of all the other floors. And our floor had a nickname as well, which was Dirty D. I don't know how this always happens to
Like
me.
you or your
Nah,
floor?
the whole floor, because we were floor D.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ended up on the right floor, man. Like, but yeah, we would spend weekends of that more like going to museums and like castles and doing like bus tours and stuff, and got to travel like all around Scotland, and even towards the end of that going around Europe, which was really cool too. Like bit of like summer in Europe, in like Spain and Budapest and stuff, and that was different. Like that was like that backpackers experience where I met people at backpacker hostels and stuff. So I really enjoyed that. Like that was really good. Yeah.
Okay. So what were, because like you were abroad for quite a number of months. Like for Canada, was that 6 months?
Yeah, pretty much.
And
Like,
then Scotland was 6 months as well.
Yeah.
So you pretty much spent one whole year abroad. Like what did you learn from that experience, man? Like
so much. Like what it's like. It just opens your horizons about like what's possible in the world. Like you know what this is like when you go traveling and you see something new. I think as humans we just need the change of environment sometimes, because when you see something new or you talk to someone new or you hear a new idea, that just triggers something within you and you're like, oh, I've never thought of it that way before, and then you start to develop your own thoughts and your own goals and ambitions. So it's just like expanding your range of experiences, and you're just stimulated by all these new people, and you take all that information and then you kind of process it internally, and then that gives you like a better understanding of the world and who you are and what you want to do. Whereas like I think if you just stay in a small bubble, you might not get that, like you might not reach your full potential, because like there could be something out there for you that really suit you, but you didn't even know about. Like you're like, oh, I didn't even know that people could do that, or I didn't know that was a job, or I didn't know people can make a living from doing that.
Yep.
But like traveling and talking to different people from different cultures, you see like new ways of life and how other people live, and then and it's just fun, like making friends and like making friends when you're overseas and stuff. It's just really fun. So
yeah, it's like what you said about like you wouldn't even know that that there was that possibility out there if you didn't go searching for it. And a lot of those times it's not like you're looking for it, it just finds you. Hey.
Yeah, and I like seeing how other people live, because like there are 8 billion people or something on this planet, and everyone lives like a slightly different life, and they're motivated by different things, and they have like a little bit different aspirations and goals. So just like seeing how all these people live is pretty inspiring and like interesting. And so
it's like the nuances. It's like it just helps you to see from a different perspective, from a different set of lenses.
Helps you to see like what's possible. It makes you appreciate what you have. Like, bro, on those trips when I came back to Australia, I was like, I'm so blessed. Like Sydney Airport, so it makes you appreciate what you have, and then you can kind of see like the best parts of how other people do things around the world, and see like, hey, how do I implement that in my life? Now we talk about America and Canada. Every time I come back from there, like, I always feel really inspired because of their hustle culture. Like, they're very much like, let's just do it. Like, why not? What's stopping us from doing it? Like, very entrepreneurial and like willing to take risks. Whereas like sometimes in Australia, I feel like we can just get a bit comfortable and relax. Sometimes people are scared to try something new because we have it so good over here.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean?
We're
right?
really
Every time
sheltered
you
here.
go over on one of those trips, you come back a bit like
For sure,
inspired.
You're 100%. You're definitely inspired because like these guys, although it's still a first world country, it's less sheltered than us. Like
It's less stable.
they're-
Like you gotta hustle to survive there. Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas here, like you could just fall back on the dole. Speaking of myself, I've been telling myself that I'm gonna cancel Sendling for like, and I'm planning to, but like I just haven't been calling them. But like you need to sometimes just pull the rug out under yourself so that it forces yourself to grow.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, going back to like talking about how when you go there, you just see how much you appreciate home. Like, what did you appreciate about home?
Oh,
that
friends,
you missed?
family, healthcare, no crime, law and order. No jokes. But like
Your
seriously,
mum's
like,
cooking.
yeah, like we just have it so good over here. Like you have everything you ask for over here. A shelter over your head, like comfortable bed, hot shower, Wi-Fi, all that. Like some places, it's not guaranteed that you have all that. And here we have opportunity. Like whatever you want to do, you can basically do it, right? Like there's nothing stopping you from doing what you want to do. Whereas in some places, yeah, like it's pretty unequal in some parts of the world, and you have those disadvantages, which for the most part, like in Australia, you do have some of that, like in some areas, but for the most part, like you can do what you want. Yeah.
Well, yeah, talking about doing what you want, like when you were in India, like that would have been that would have been even more in your face, eh? Just like they live so differently.
Yeah.
Can you
That was
expound
like,
on
that one, the lesson I got from that was like mostly about career and how like your career doesn't have to be linear. Like before I went on that trip, I thought that like, okay, when you graduate, you just take this job and then you just climb the ladder or whatever. On that trip, I met people who were like in their mid-30s, late 20s and stuff, who were just starting again. Like they had a long career as like a successful lawyer or something, and they were just doing like a mid-career change or something. And that was inspiring in itself, because I've never heard of that before. Because like we grew up in an Asian culture where like you become a doctor or a lawyer and you just climb the ladder. You just stay in one job for like 30 years. And what that job taught me is it's never too late to switch it up and like go after like what you're interested in. You should always spend time like figuring out what you want to do with your life. Like what's your mission and what's your purpose. And just because you've been on one path for like 5 years or 10 years, it's not a waste. You can't think of it as like, oh, it's a waste for me to scrap that now and try something else, because you're gonna have to live the rest of your life. So you want to make as big as impact as possible. So you can do that in your mid-career. Like you can do that when you're old. Like, so that's what I learned from that trip. Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do in India? Like, and what sparked, like, why India out of all places?
Oh, that was like this university program basically. That was organized by the university, and it was helping this social enterprise. So it was just like a bunch of students who went over there for the summer holidays, and we only spent like 10 days there, and everything was like organized by the uni. So I had like a pretty big come down from that Canada trip. So I was like really depressed when I came back, because I had to commute an hour and a half to go to uni, and like all my friends were partying and I was just like at home. So I was like really sad, and then I was just looking for that feeling again, which the feeling we talked about earlier of like exploration and something new. So
Uncertainty.
that was like the summer of 2014, which was like a year after exchange in Canada. That's when I applied that's when I went to India, because for that whole year I had like nothing to look forward to. I was really sad, and when I found that, I just applied. And so yeah, I wasn't really thinking too much about it when I applied. I was just like, I want that feeling again. So that's why I went to India.
And those are the, like, we as humans, like we always have that explorative trait. Like we want to explore and see what is out there. We want to see the new. Although we do like our habits and we do like comfort, like there's something innate in us that wants to go out there and search and discover.
Yes.
So yeah, I just want to tell a little story about how pretty much how I got into acting for the first time. And so back in 2019, around 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago, the Canadians happened to be in the NBA finals. So out of all of the NBA, there's only one Canadian team. And so they've never been in the finals in history, let alone win the finals. So they were already up 3-1. So for those that don't know much about the NBA, to win in the finals, all you need to win is you need 4 games out of 7. And they were up 3-1. All they needed was one more win. And so I'm a Canadian citizen. I'm a dual citizen. Have a dual citizenship with Australia because my mum used to live there. And this guy he has a dual citizenship with the US, but he loved the Raptors. Like he just loved Toronto, the team. And so we were watching at our mutual friend's house, Ashley. Shout out to Ashley. And we were watching the game. Finished watching the game, and then that's when they were up 3-1. So at that point, we were kind of like joking around, and Daniel was like, because you were thinking about it.
Yeah, like leading up to that was game 4. We were watching at Ashley's house. I was just like joking about it at work because shout out to Rob, Canadian guy at work. Like this was a historic series. The Raptors always lost to LeBron James every single year. Like the DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry team, they always made it to like the Eastern Conference Finals and then lost to LeBron. And then that year there was a big trade where DeMar DeRozan got traded for Kawhi Leonard. And he's like one of the top 3 players in the NBA at this time. And we were like, holy shit, like they might have a chance to win it all. So like even in the playoff rounds, like every time they won a series in the playoffs, like there was this massive crowd outside of the stadium, and it was called Jurassic Park, and it was outside the stadium in Toronto. There was just like this big public space where they had a giant screen and like thousands of screaming fans. And so when I was watching that, even in the playoff rounds, I was like, holy shit, like the crowd in Toronto is going nuts just over like these playoff wins. And so as they progressed through the playoffs, I just said to my friend at work, like, oh, must be crazy at Jurassic Park, hey? Like, I wonder what it's like. And, there was that feeling that this might only happen once because they never have a player that good. And he's from LA, so it wasn't even guaranteed that he would be like a Raptor.
He was talking about Kawhi.
Kawhi Leonard only had 1 year left on the team. So I already started thinking about it in a joking way. And then then we watched game 4 at Ashley's house. And then
that's when they were up 3-1.
Then they won that game, and then it was 3-1. And then you
So that's when, like, because Daniel was just joking around. He's like, maybe we should go watch the game. Maybe we should go to Canada. And I was like,
wait, this was like Friday, I think.
This was on a Friday
I think
or
it was
something.
Friday, yeah.
It was on a Friday, and then
it was Saturday.
One of those days.
Saturday,
it was a weekend.
Because Friday I would have been at work. It was Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. It was a Saturday, and after Daniel was like, "Yeah, we should go watch the game. We should go to Jurassic Park," and I was like, "Let's fucking go." And you're like,
"Yeah." I didn't think he would actually say yes, but I knew if I had a friend that would actually go, it would be this guy because he's the most spontaneous person I know. So
I was like, "Let's fucking go," and then you're like, "Nah." Wait, I don't know, but I got work next week, and my mum, what was my mum gonna say and stuff? I'm like, you can't just say that to me and then just fucking put me down like that. No, if you say something, we're gonna do it, man. Yeah. And so after that, we went to the basketball court.
Yeah.
And this is like a June winter's afternoon, like night or something. It was really cold, and I remember just going to the court. I had my jumper on, had no warm up, no nothing. Pick up the ball, shot the ball, and it was like a swish, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm feeling myself right now." And then, so obviously, I got the ball back, and I shot the ball again, and it was like a swish again. I was like, "Okay, I'm like really feeling really good right now." And then I got a swish 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row, and then on the 5th time, I was like, "Alright guys, if I get this ball in, we're going to Canada." And then it was like pure silence. And then I closed my eyes. I kissed the ball. I shot the ball, and I swear it was like slow motion, man, like frame by frame. And it was an air ball, bro. I completely missed, and I was just like, next one. So then the ball, they gave me the ball again, and I shot it, and it was a swish. I was like, yo, we're fucking going to Canada, boys. And then I swear to God, I don't know if like it's because I've told this story so many times that like this is actually what happened, but I truly believe this is what happened. Like, you got the ball, you shot the ball, and it was swish as well, and then Ashley got the ball, swish as well, and it was like everything was meant to be. It was like synchronicity, bro.
But I don't even remember the air ball. I just remember you saying like, if I get this, we're going, and then you got it. Like, I don't remember the air ball.
I
swear
remember
you got like 5 in a row or something.
Yeah, just kept getting them. I'm pretty sure on the one where I said that I was gonna get it, like it was completely missed. And then I was like, next one. And that's when I got it in, and then Ashley got it in, and then you got it in, and then I swear the ball rolled to some random Korean guy.
And he got it in.
Yeah, he got it in. I was like, yo, you're coming to Canada with us, and he's like, oh, me? Like he's just some old Korean man, 60-year-old man just sitting on the bench. Yeah. And then that night we were just like, we got so drunk, and we may have did some other substances, and he was like messaging his boss and everything.
Yeah,
and
like that was the night I made a decision, and I was like, we're gonna go.
Yeah.
So I messaged my boss making up some excuse, like I've got a family thing to attend. Gave her like 2 days notice, and this was like big because I was on a pretty small team, and we were in the middle of like a pretty busy period, so that was the biggest thing for me. Like I felt guilty, or like this sense of duty or responsibility. So when I sent that email, I was like shaking, man. I was like nervous, but I hit send like late on a Saturday night, and then the next morning we bought tickets. And,
so on my side, like we like, you were scared of telling your mum and everything because you.
Oh yeah, because my dad was overseas, and so it was just me and my mum at home. So
So obviously he was stressed out, and he had the responsibility. He was the man of the house. But from my end, I had no responsibility.
You were like,
I quit my job. I hated my job at Woolies. I was at freaking Woolies, and I was hating my job. I just needed a change as well. And it was so funny because my girlfriend at the time, we had a party. We partied so hard that night, on that night that I got the ball in, and we partied so hard, and then Ashley, the one that we went to watch the basketball game at, like, he was just like, you guys are fucking nuts, bro. I was like, come with us. He's like, nah, fuck off. And then the next day, that was when we bought the tickets, and I was with, I swear, I was on the phone with Daniel, and we were like searching up tickets, like the next ticket, that the flight, we had to buy tickets that were ASAP because the next game was in like 2 days or something, and it would take like one whole day to get there.
The next game was on Monday.
Yeah.
So we decided on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So we had to buy it the next morning.
So we bought the tickets on the Sunday
morning,
And what was funny was that do you remember this? We bought the tickets, but the tickets didn't come into our freaking account.
Oh man.
And so I didn't have any money at that time. Yeah. So Daniel had to pay for both tickets.
I thought we got scammed basically.
So he bought both tickets with like, I don't know, 3,000
yeah.
return, well, for both of us, obviously. Yeah. And the tickets didn't come in the email for like 2 hours or some shit.
And it was like 4 hours or something.
We were like shitting ourselves, like, fuck, did we just get scammed?
Yeah.
And obviously Daniel's gonna feel worse because it's his money.
3.5K.
I'll just feel bad, but it wasn't my credit card, you know. But like deep down, obviously I would have felt bad as well.
No, like what I remember is like I just used Skyscanner and clicked on the cheapest one. Yeah. And it was this website called Travel Genio or something. And then as soon as I clicked it, I didn't like do that much research because I just had to get the quickest flight.
Yep.
And then I searched like Travel Genio reviews, and there was 1 star review from like Product Finder or something, and all the comments were like, never used Travel Genio, got scammed, didn't get my money back and stuff. And at this point I was like really shitting myself because I thought I just lost 3.5K and that we didn't get the tickets. And I was like on the phone and emailing them for about 4 hours that Sunday morning. So we started this process at about like 9 or 10 o'clock. And it wasn't about until like 2 or 3 p.m. I got through. Like, I think I was on hold on the phone for like an hour or something.
Wow.
Because I was like, I'm going to talk to someone, man. Like,
MVP.
Because I was like, we're going to go. Like, I spent 3.5K or whatever. And luckily they responded. It was like Sunday afternoon, I remember. They responded and they sent through the tickets. And then I called you and I was like, oh, we're going. We're going.
Yeah. And that would have been so much relief,
So much
just
relief, man.
stress off your shoulders and everything. And then that's when the surrealness was starting to kick in, hey?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you spoke to your mum, but like I remember just sitting I was having breakfast with my parents and I was just sitting, my dad on the left and my mum sitting straight up. And then I remember saying to my parents, I was like, all right, guys, I got to tell you something. Like, don't know how you're going to take it, but I'm just going to tell you the truth. And so straight away already, like, it was pure silence. And I was just like, I'm going to Canada tomorrow. And then straight away, like, complete polar opposite reactions from my mum and dad. My dad's just like full shaking his head. It's like,
disappointed.
yeah, full disappointment, but not surprised. And he's just like, it's your money. It's your money. And then my mum's full happy on her face. She's like so happy because my grandma at the time, because my mum, her mum lives in Canada. And so she was like, yeah, you can go see grandma and everything. I was like, yeah, that's the plan. It's going to be like killing two birds with one stone. And so like, it was so funny because the experience was so different. And then I had to tell one more big person in my life, which was my girlfriend at the time. And so I went to her house that night and I was like, we were just having a good time. We were just having we were just like...
I haven't heard this part yet, actually.
I haven't told you this part?
No.
Okay, so like I went to her house that same night before the flight and we were just having a good time, just like laughing and that kind of stuff. And then we were just chilling in bed and then I was like to her, hey babe, I was exactly the same way that I told my parents. I was like, I need to tell you something, but I'm not quite sure how you're gonna really take it. But yeah, I gotta tell you, I gotta be straight up. And then the energy in the room completely changed and it was just like a whole different vibration. And she was just so silent. And I was like, so I'm going to Canada tomorrow. And at first we made eye contact as soon as I said that. And then as soon as she heard that, she looked away and she was like, I think we should break up.
She said that on the spot, like that night. Wow.
She looked away.
I thought that was like the next day or something.
No, she looked away for like what felt like eternity. And I'm just like pure silence. I was just like, fuck, what's she gonna say? What's she gonna say?
Yeah.
And then she's like, I think we need to break up. And I was like, oh. But you know what? My heart kind of felt this kind of burden kind of left off me because at that time, like we got along, but I don't think we were right for each other. And back then I didn't have the balls. I was beta as fuck. She definitely wore the pants. Like I didn't have the guts to break it off with her because I just saw her as such a great prospect for a mother for my children. I was just like, no, she's so great. She wakes up at 4 a.m. every single morning. She works out every single day. She's the only one in her whole family that pays for the mortgage, even though she's a middle child. I was just like, man, this is a great woman, man. I just thought logically, but with the heart, I didn't really connect with her on a soul level. And so when she did say that, I was like, oh, she just did the hard work for me. I was like, thank God. Yeah. So, and then after that, I actually healed from that relationship really quickly because I think I told you this, on the flight.
Yeah, you were writing like so much, man. We didn't even talk. We were seated separate. Yep. But you were just like
I wasn't sitting next to Daniel, and the whole flight from, I think we went to Houston. We flew from Sydney to Houston. I don't know how long it was, 17 hours or something. I was just writing the whole time. I was just writing. Why did it not work out? What did work out? What could I learn from this? I let it all out, let it express out of my system. And I just, by the time I landed, I was fully like healed from the relationship. And I was just like, I left the baggage. I did not carry on. I did not bring that as carry on.
That's actually like the perfect environment because you're kind of like at a library or something where you have no distractions. You can't connect to your phone. So you're just alone with your thoughts and then you can just...
I just brain dumped. I brain vomited everything and regurgitated everything so that it was never long stuck in my mind and it was in here in the physical realm. That's a great tool, guys, by the way. If you're feeling bad, if you're feeling like not right, if you feel like you're not in the right place in your life, you feel like you're having these depressive thoughts, just put it into paper. It's something powerful about putting words on paper. That's why, like, words are magic, man. That's why they call it spelling. Wingardium Leviosa, yo.
That's a good one. But you're gonna
I
later
stole that
tell
from
them
somewhere.
the story about Donna. Is that her name? Donna? You're gonna tell that later.
This
But,
is
like,
a
when
very
we
long
get
story,
there,
guys, as you can tell.
When you get
It's
to that story,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
an amazing story
So-
about how you met Donna. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is actually not even, we're not even there in Canada yet, and so much has happened already.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'll tell my part, and then you can tell your perspective. So we finally landed in Canada, and that's when his friend Talua, that he met on exchange back in when he was 19, he picked us up. Shout out to Talua, man, changed our lives forever. He picked us up, and we went.
Oh wait, I remember a funny story. But remember when Kate was meant to come
Yeah.
out to find us?
I was
but
gonna say that.
She didn't know what we looked like.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you tell that. That was
So
funny.
okay, so when we landed at the airport, Talua's girlfriend Kate was supposed to pick us up, but we didn't know what she looked like, and
No
she didn't know
idea.
what we looked like.
Yeah, and so he just like dropped her off, and he was like doing loops trying to find parking, and Kate came into the airport to try and find us, and we didn't know what she looked like.
Yeah.
So.
I think he was just like, oh, just look for a white girl or something that like,
Yeah.
looks like she's looking for someone.
And you almost stopped this random white girl, like.
Yeah, because
there's
I
so many of them. There
Yeah,
were
because
so
I
many.
remember walking past someone and then she did a double take. I was like, is that her? Like, is she looking for us or something?
Just checking you out, bro.
Or did she just checking us out? Like, couldn't tell. But like we actually found her. Like maybe
Yeah.
the energy just pulled us together. And then
Basically, I said, "Hey, Kate, look for two hot Asian guys." Basically, and that's how she found us.
two lost Asian guys. And so, yeah, so we landed, they picked us up, and we went straight back to his house, dropped off our stuff, and we went straight to game 5. And like, it was crazy. There was people walking on the streets. Like, our Uber driver was like a full crazy Raptors fan. He's like, you guys going to watch a game? And we're like, yeah, let's go Raptors, let's go.
Yeah, so it took us like more than 24 hours or something to travel, but because of the change in the time zone, we actually landed on Monday afternoon, and the game was on Monday night.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So we're gonna cut this long story just a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
So pretty much we landed, and obviously we came to watch the game, but this story is about how I discovered acting. And so we landed, and then we went straight to that house, dropped our stuff off, went straight to go watch the game at like a pub, and
It was a very close game. That's all I'm gonna say.
no,
We almost won.
We went to surprise my cousin.
Yeah,
Because
you
I had
told
been doing something with my cousin lives in Toronto. Shout out to Kevin. He had no fucking clue. I had been setting this up for like 2 days with his close friend Steven. Shout out to Steven as well. We'd be just messaging on Instagram and like, don't tell him, like tell us exactly where you guys are gonna be at what time. And then I remember like we had to split up, and then Daniel, like, I was so happy that he decided to come with me
Because we were waiting in line at the other
yeah,
place,
we were at a different place, and we weren't sure if we were gonna go surprise my cousin or stay with Talua and his friends. But we ended up going to surprise my cousin, and so we landed. We went to a different pub, and I remember so clearly, bro. Like, we walked up to the pub, and then my cousin's like having a smoke outside, because that's when my friend Steven, he's like, guys, go right now. He's having a smoke outside. This is the perfect time. And so he's just like having a smoke, and then I come up to him. I was like holding my GoPro. I was like, yo, what's up, bro? And he's like, he's drunk off his head. He's like, yo, what the freak? What the freak? Yo, what the freak? Like, he was just so, it's the most Canadian thing to say, what the freak? Like, he didn't even say what the fuck. He was like, what
Too
the
polite,
freak?
yeah, too
Yeah, I
polite.
know. And I was like, dude, aren't you going to say hi to me? Aren't you going to give me a hug? Aren't you so rude? I thought you're Canadian. Why are you being so rude to me? And he's like, what the freak? He was like mind blown. And then that's when we surprised him, and they booked, my cousin booked like this whole upstairs room just to themselves, and we were having just a great time. It was so surreal because my cousin was there, all his friends were there, like my cousin's girlfriend, and it's just me and Daniel and this other guy, like your friend Chris? Ben. And
He came because he just like didn't want to wait in line.
Yeah,
He was like,
yeah.
I just want to watch the game.
Yeah.
That's good.
And long story short, Canada lost. They lost that game. They ended up losing that game.
It was such a close game though.
Oh
Like
my
with I think with about like 2 minutes left, they were actually leading.
Yeah.
Like Kyle Lowry shot a 3, and then they were up by 2 points with like a couple of minutes left.
Yeah.
And I was ready to like riot on the streets, man. I was like, this is happening. Because, this is the other part. So that game was actually played in Toronto.
Yeah.
So it was like 200 meters away from the bar that we were watching the game at. How's the lighting? You want to turn the light on?
It's
Yeah,
good.
like it was about 200 meters from the stadium. So they were actually playing in Toronto. So that's why we wanted them to win that game so badly, because like the Golden State Warriors, who were in the finals, and the Raptors were just like a few hundred meters away from us. So if they won that night,
Yep.
the players would have come onto the streets and we would have like flipped some cars and jumped off roofs and stuff. But yeah, with a few minutes left, Klay Thompson hit some threes and then they lost by like 4 points or something. And
Yeah.
like I was so depressed. I remember going home that night being like, oh no, like did I waste my money? Like, is this gonna happen?
We flew all the way from Australia
Because
yesterday just for this.
that Golden State team was like historically good. It had Kevin Durant, who was an
Oh.
MVP, Steph Curry, MVP. Basically, like
Klay
one of the most
Thompson. He was
dominant
injured.
teams.
Klay was injured, hey.
He got injured in that game.
That game
Yeah.
that we watched. In Canada.
So like I thought to myself, like it is possible that Golden State wins this from 3-1 down. Like they were down 3-1. But their team is so good that they could easily, win 3 in a row. So when they lost that, I was like, oh god, because Game 6 was gonna be in San
Golden
Francisco,
State.
yeah. So if they win that one, then it's gonna be Game 7,
Yeah, and we're fucked.
and I was like, oh, we might get nervous, we
Yeah.
might lose. So yeah, that's how I remember being almost ready to celebrate, and then being like really deflated after that game.
Yep.
Because like that was the feeling in the streets. Like everyone came out and they were like shell shocked
Yeah.
because everyone was so buzzed. Like they thought they were gonna like explode. And then so that was the Monday night. And then yeah,
So yeah, we
went home.
that was when we're like, this is like the most anticlimactic.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I was like, is this for real? Like,
yeah.
even I just, it's like, but there was a funny thing. After, I remember we went to Ben's house.
Skip that part.
Okay, we skip that. Okay, so yeah, I just felt like it was so anticlimactic, and it was just like we flew all the way across the world for this. Obviously, there was still more chances because there was
Two
they're
more
only
games
up-
left. 2 games left.
They're only up. They're up 3-2 now, so they still needed just one game to win. But it was just like, man, it's like all the momentum had built up, and the bottle had been shaken with the cork still on, and then they pulled off the cork, and then there was no fizz. It just like oozed out. There was no champagne showers or anything. We were just like,
Yeah.
wow. what
Yeah.
the- Anyways, and then so that's when that led on to the next day. And the next day, Talua, we were staying at his house, and he was telling us how, like, so Talua is a director, and he just happened to be directing a short film called Code Switch, and they were filming in a diner, and they just happened to need fuckboys. And so they're like, guys, do you guys want to be extras? Do you guys want to like act and like pretend to be fuckboys? And then me and Daniel were like, yeah, fuck, we'll just be ourselves. We don't even need to act. Disclaimer, we're actually not fuckboys.
It's the biggest stretch.
We try so hard to be fuckboys, but we could never break a heart. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how
no.
much we love women. But we're like, yeah, we'll just be ourselves. We
Yeah,
won't
yeah.
even have to try. And so I remember we filmed from like 9 p.m. at night in this diner, and we filmed from 9 p.m. till like, it was like 5 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, it was
And I
a
was
night
like-
shoot because that diner like kindly let them borrow the space at that time because that wasn't during like work hours. So that's why we had to do basically like midnight shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so like there was like free food, and everyone was so nice, and I just remember like feeling like so jet lagged because that was the second day that we were there, the first real day that we were there, and then I was just like so jet lagged, but I had so much energy because I was like, this is so fun, like people get paid to do this, man, like I'll do this shit for free. And then from then on, like that was the first time that I really like blew my mind. I was like, yo, I'm gonna be an actor.
Was that
I'm
your
gonna
first time
pursue
on a set?
acting. That was my first ever time on set. First time in front of a camera for like a film kind of thing. I was like, this is just so fun, and like just being able to improvise and just laugh at other people's takes and everything. And it was obviously stepping out of your comfort zone too, because our scene, we had to chat up the main character, and
I was so bad.
tell
So bad.
tell us your part.
No, I don't remember, man. I blacked that out, man. That was so bad. Like,
Yeah.
I had like no pickup lines.
So that obviously shows that we're the furthest away from fuckboys, because we had no lines. Like I was shy as fuck too. Like I was like, what do I say? And like
My line would be like, "What's your favorite color?" or something. It wasn't right for the set, so like.
no, that actually works perfectly because
man.
there's overly arrogant fuckboys, and then you're like, I want to be fuckboy, you know?
Yeah.
So it actually works perfectly.
What do you do for work or something? Like, just those are my questions. Yeah.
Yeah, so actually that's what happened. So
Yeah.
that was the beginning of my whole acting career, and that sparked everything, and then it kind of spread like a wildfire. And then, like, obviously there's still so much to the story, but I want to tell the part where we finished the game. So what happened on the game six? So game 6 was happening in Golden State.
Yeah. And
So-
we were trying to figure out where we should watch the game because like everyone in the city was like all the sports bars were packed out and like everyone had plans to watch it at like someone's house or something. But like we didn't really have plans up until that day because we were just doing the acting thing, and it was meant to be a big storm as well. I remember this. It was meant to rain like very heavily. I don't know where you were. We were kind of separated this day, but I went to have lunch with my friend Olivia in the middle of the city, and this was about like 4 p.m. or something, and the game starts at 7:30. So we just had lunch, and then we heard that there was going to be a massive storm, but we wanted to go and watch it at Jurassic Park, like where the big screen is.
Yeah, which is right outside the stadium in Toronto.
But we thought that like we heard stories that people had to camp there, and it took like 2 days or something to be in line to get in there. So at first it was like it's impossible to get to Jurassic Park if you go there on the day. But because people heard it was gonna storm, I think people stayed away from it or something. Or like we heard that they might let people into the stadium to watch it on the screen inside, not outside. So me and Olivia went just to try our luck. And then when we got there, the line was like moving so quickly, and we were like, what the fuck? Like the line keeps moving, and we keep walking, and we get closer and closer. And then like 15 minutes later or something, we're in, and we're like, what? It was only like 5:30 or something at this point. But it was that situation where like if we left, we couldn't get back in. But we were just amazed that we found ourselves in that like ticketed sort of like cordoned off area. And when I got in, I was like, holy shit, like how the hell did we get in here?
Was that with you yet at this
I don't
time?
think you were yet. I don't think so. I don't know where you were that day. Maybe seeing your cousin or something.
Yeah.
And then I was on my phone like messaging everyone. I'm like, yo, come down here. There's no line. Come and find us. And then you came probably about like an hour later or something. But I was trying to get Talua and everyone there, but he was still at Kate's house. And all my other friends sort of had plans already. And even the funny thing was Olivia actually had plans.
Yeah.
She was meant to watch it at her friend's house. But because she was like in such a good spot, she was like, oh, should I go or should I stay? And she just decided to stay.
Yeah.
And then you came, and then you can tell us a story about how you got us closer. Remember that? Like, so we're in there, there's no alcohol, there's like no toilets, no food, nothing.
But there was free Tim Hortons.
Was there?
Yeah, remember?
Oh, yeah. All right, tell us a story about what happened when you got there. So we were like we were in the second section from the screen.
Yeah.
And then you came. And
So there's a screen, and then there's like a front section right in front of the screen, and then that's like obviously the best seats.
the people who waited the longest.
Yeah, they've been waiting. They camped there and shit for like days. And then there's a section right before that, and then there's a section where we were.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh, we gotta get closer, man. I can barely see.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I'm gonna use my sales skills, man. I've been practicing. What can we lose? What can we lose if just asking? And so I remember going to one of the security guys. I was like, and I put on a more Australian accent. I was like, hey, g'day, mate. Do you reckon we could just? I flew all the way here from Australia, and it would be awesome. Like, can you just make one exception for me and my friends to like go through to the next section? And he's like, you're from Australia? I'm like, fuck yeah. He's like, oh yeah, of course, anything for you. I was like, oh
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And then I was like,
That's
yeah.
bad.
He's like, yeah, just I'll tell you when to go, because he wasn't a manager.
But he's not allowed to do that.
No,
'cause
he's not.
everyone would get pissed off.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, if he lets us through and people see, the
Yeah.
other people are gonna get pissed off, be like, oh, why did they get to go? So anyways, he's like, okay, when the manager looks away, you go. And then I was like, okay, let's do it. And then I went to go find you guys. I was like, guys, follow me. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
But just follow me.
Act natural.
Yeah, act natural. Don't say anything. Just follow me and follow my lead. So I grabbed you guys and we were like linked hands. And then as soon as he like did the hand sign, I was like, let's go. We just walked through and then we're like, what the fuck? Did this shit just happen? And we're like that much
Second from the
closer.
front, yeah.
That much closer to the screen. And at that time, it was crazy because Drake was like just...
There was a stage there. He was
yeah,
just, like,
he was
hyped
performing
up,
on the
yeah.
stage, Drake, fucking
Yeah.
king of six guard right there, right? We couldn't see him physically, but we could see him on the screen.
Yeah.
And he was performing fucking his songs and everything, and we just got that much closer. We're breathing the same air as Drake, man. And then that's when we watched the game, and the game was so fucking good. Man.
It
We
was
just
so
had such
good.
great seats,
Like,
stands.
yeah, Raptors went off to a great start. I still remember this. Like Kyle Lowry and Van Vliet were like sinking 3-pointers, and it got really close. Like towards the end, remember, like at the end, the Raptors were leading, but the Warriors were coming back. Like in that last few minutes, and there was all these stoppages.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were like, "Can we celebrate yet?"
Yeah.
And then like there was like a foul, and we're like, "Like not yet."
Yeah.
And then the Warriors hit a 3, and we were like,
Oh,
"Oh shit!" But like it was a very close game at the end, and it came down to like a few possessions. I remember, and like the Raptors were up, but even up to like the very last second, like there was like a foul or something. So we didn't know when to celebrate, but like
It was never a secure game.
Nah.
We were always at the edge of our non-existent seats. We're just
yeah.
like, oh.
we were
And then-
standing up the whole time.
Yeah. And
But
so
we had so much energy. from
exactly,
being
and I was just like I remember thinking like and telling you too, like, oh, I hope they lose. I was hoping that Toronto was going to
fucking
lose.
crazy. Only you were thinking.
Yeah,
that.
I was hoping that they would lose so that
Game 7.
Game 7 would be back in Toronto, and then because I knew that if they won in Toronto, it would be way bigger. But then, long story short, spoiler alert, they end up winning.
They won.
And like it was crazy energy. I was just like, yeah. Like,
We turned around to everyone around us.
Everyone-
Everyone was hugging, like high-fiving,
yeah,
jumping,
singing
like
the
strangers.
Canadian anthem and everything.
Yeah.
And I remember like
Fireworks.
and everything. And I remember at that point when we just won, I was like, yeah, I need some weed. And this guy right behind me was like, hey, here you go, mate. And like he just gave me some weed. I was like, oh, you're the best, you're the fucking king. And he gave it to me. I just smoked out. I got so fucking stoned instantly.
Yeah.
And like everyone was just such great energy. Like everywhere you look, they'll look back and you make eye contact. Yeah. And then we're from Australia. They're like, what? We're just like such crazy energy, man.
Yeah.
And so this is the part where I kind of disappointed Daniel a little bit. It's because as I was progressively getting more and more stoned and more jigged up at the same time, I was just like looking around. I was like, I need to climb something. And that's when I saw like the top of this TV, because everyone was climbing street signs. They were climbing the side of the apartments. They were climbing trucks and everything on top of cars. And I was like, I need to climb something. If I don't climb something, then did I really come to the NBA Finals? No. I came from Australia. I need to do the best one. And so that's when I saw the top of one of the projectors where they watched the game. And I was like, oh, this is... And I swear to God, this thought came into my mind, and it was like, Daniel's probably not going to like this. But I know I'm not going to hurt myself, and if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it. And if I regret it, I'm going to be on my deathbed, and I'm not going to enjoy that. So I was like, Daniel, I love you so much, but at the same time, I need to live my life for me. So that's when I was like, okay. I walked to, there was this middle area where nobody could go through, and it was like encased. It was surrounded by, it was a trailer. The trailer attached to the top of the trailer was that TV. And so around that trailer was surrounded by a fence blocked off where nobody could get in. And so I remember jumping onto the fence, and I was just like sitting with like one leg on each side of the fence, and I was just like surveying the land. I was looking at all the cops and everything. I was just like sitting there, stoned as fuck, and I was just like waiting to strike, and I was just like waiting, and I was just like, now we go. And then I sprinted onto the trailer, jumped off, started climbing, and that was the fear was like peak maximum in my mind. I was like, nah, I gotta keep going. And I made this decision. I'm not gonna back down now, because if I back down now, cops are gonna catch me. So I'm just might as well go all the way to the top. And I keep climbing, and it's like the trailer is probably like I would say 5 meters tall or something, and then got to the top of the trailer, and that's when I had to climb the TV, and the TV was like this huge ass bars and everything, and I had to go upside down at one
I
point.
don't even know how you got up there, bro.
Yeah.
That was fucking high.
Did you see me climb, or did you just see me at the top?
I don't even know where you were. Me and Olivia were walking through the crowd, and then suddenly we hear people screaming, and you're already up there. So I don't know. This is the first time I've heard this part. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I this is all documented on my GoPro. I'll release it.
You gotta share
one
that
day.
video one
I'll
day.
release it one
I
day.
haven't seen that yet. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I finally climbed, and I got to the top, and I was like, yeah! I like felt so much adrenaline rushing through my veins, and I was like, I felt like such a king. I felt like such a boss. I felt like I just conquered Mount Everest. And then like everyone looked like ants, and I was just looking down, and everyone's just cheering at me, and then I'm like, yeah! And then I was like, guys, and everyone's like, yeah! And I'm like, I'm from Australia! And I'm pretty sure they couldn't hear what I was saying, but I was like, I'm from Australia! I came all the way for this! I love Canada! Long live Canada! I was giving some kind of speech in my mind, but if you watch the video, it's probably just me like, hey guys, I'm here. Like, that's probably all I said. But I felt like so much energy coursing through my veins, and then I remember just like putting on a show for them. I was kind of acting as well. I was like pretending to be Spider-Man, because
I remember that. Yeah.
and the platform was probably like 1/2 meter by 6 meters or something. So obviously, if there's a little mistake, you could fall off, fucking break your neck or some shit. But like, it's pretty much as wide as this, maybe a bit more than this chair, like around there. And I was just like jumping and pretending to fall and everything. And I was like, this is so crazy. I remember like lying down at one point and just looking up at the stars and just breathing and just like really soaking that all in. And when people still scream at me, and then I was just like, wow, this is, can't believe I did this. Like, what am I doing? Like, this is pretty dangerous.
So then it hit you at some
yeah,
point.
it hit me when I was at the top, and I was starting to sober a bit. I was like, oh shit, this is pretty up there. Like, I could probably hurt myself really badly if I do a wrong move.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I was like, okay, I think it's time to go down. And then I was like looking down. I was kind of looking over the edge, and then that's when everyone was like, jump, jump, jump. And I was like, you mean I think I could? And maybe they could catch me? But then,
They couldn't, bro.
Yeah, no
there was
way.
a big gate, like a big space between the barrier and the people. You were just by yourself in there.
And even then, I don't think they would have tried to catch me.
That's my part of this story. Like, I didn't like maybe my protective side, because my best friend is there, but like the mood of the crowd kind of changed, and they were just like daring you to jump. And I was like, dude, that's my fucking best friend, man. He's gonna hurt himself. And then the mood of the crowd kind of changed, and I was like, I don't like where this is going. So that's where that feeling came from for me. It was more like the protective side. Was like looking out for my best friend, because like, it felt like, you know, something just took over you and you were like possessed or something, and you just went up there. And I was like, holy shit, like he's gonna either hurt himself really badly, or like, you know, the cops might like lock him up and then we can't go home or something. Like, those were sort of like my thoughts. But it was amazing how you escaped, man, because like there were cops all around and you literally found like the one corner where like there wasn't cops. And
the energy of the crowd was changing.
Because they were daring you to jump, and I didn't like that. Like,
And so at that point I was like, fuck, like would these guys actually catch me? Like, I wasn't sure, like, because obviously I was pretty stoned as well, and I didn't exactly know what to do, because at the time it seemed like a good idea to jump, to be honest. So I was like,
thank God you didn't jump, bro.
Should I? But then I was like, nah, I probably wouldn't make it. Just in case, what would the responsible version of me do? So then I was like, I guess I don't think that's a good idea. So then I started to climb down from the top of the, for all my Spotify listeners, like I had to climb down from the top of the the TV, and then that's when I landed on top of the trailer. And so the only thing that's stopping me from, so I was surrounded by cops. I was surrounded by cops from every single angle in the whole oval. So I had to, like, obviously I didn't want to get caught because I wanted to continue the party. And so what I did was, I'm on top of the trailer, and around that trailer is the circle of a fence, the perimeter of fence, and the cops are right outside on both sides of the fence. So on the inside, closest to the trailer, and on the outside of the fence as well. And so I remember, like, what do I do? Like, there's so many of these guys. And but the funny thing was, I remember they're like, get down. And then I was like, oh fuck, they want to they care about
you.
they want to arrest me. I'm like, shit. But then they're like, you could hurt yourself.
Yeah,
and then
they
I was
were
like,
nice cops.
Yeah, they were like really nice Canadian cops. Because then obviously, like, American cops were like, we're gonna fucking shoot you or some shit.
Probably a
But, like,
sniper would have shot you already while you were up
yeah,
there.
but these Canadian cops was like, get down, you're gonna hurt yourself. And I was like, oh, these guys actually care about me, but I still don't want to get caught.
Yeah.
And so I remember I came up with an idea, a sneaky idea, and I walked towards one side of the trailer, and I was like drawing all the cops to this one side, and I was like pretending like I was about to jump, and I was like stepping over, and then at the last second I sprinted to the other side of the trailer, and then I jumped over onto the fence. I grabbed onto the fence, and I almost didn't make it, and I was about to fall off, and this cop grabbed my leg, and I kicked him off, and then I jumped over the fence, and then that's when I just landed, and I sprinted for my life, and I pushed everyone out of my way.
Bro, I've never seen you sprint that fast.
Yo,
you would have beat Usain Bolt in the 100 meters, bro. Like,
Yo, if they had captured my sprint time at that time, it would have been
world record.
9.5 seconds.
Yeah.
It would have beaten Usain Bolt's by 0.08.
and like me and Olivia were right there, like the corner that you started sprinting on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew this, but
No, I didn't.
we were at the same corner where you, and then we just felt like whoosh, and then we saw you run past and the cops chasing you, and everyone was like, go. Like everyone was cheering for you at that point to get away from the cops, and we had no idea where you went. So,
Yeah.
like, we just kept walking down the street, but we knew you got away, so we were like, oh, nice.
Sicko.
Don't have to go rescue him from the police station. Like, yeah.
Oh man, that was another rush of adrenaline. I was just like sprinting fight or flight, like pure flight mode. I felt like the Flash, man. And then finally, like, I pushed everyone out of my way, and I ran all the way to this open space, and then I looked back and they gave up. And then that's when I remember like feeling like I really was Spider-Man, and I kind of put my jacket back on, because at that time I had my jacket off. I put my jacket back on, and I put my hat on, and I pulled it down, and then I was like pretending to become one with the crowd again. I was like, whoa, this is some...
No one can see me
Yeah.
now.
I was
Disguised.
like, this is some Assassin's Creed shit, bro. I felt like such a G, man.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was running down that road, and I ended up at the bottom of CN Tower, and I was like, whoa. And I'm still stoned.
That's where we met. That's when we were like, let's meet here.
Yeah, and I'm still like stoned as at this moment, but I'm more like chilled now, and I'm kind of sobering up, and I'm like, whoa, I kind of feel like a superhero. Like this CN Tower, looking up, the tallest tower in the whole of Canada. I felt like this was my crib. I felt like Batman / Spider-Man at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's when I was waiting for you guys to catch up with me.
Yeah, and then after that was just a 6-hour party in the streets with all of like 1 million people, I think. Like, that was like around midnight when that happened, but there were just, all the streets were closed. There were people on every single street. And yeah, it was just like the biggest party I've ever seen. Like, people, remember the drums?
Yeah.
The drum guy, people were having, like, the houseplant guy, the guy that was carrying around a houseplant for Kauai.
Oh,
Yeah.
Was he holding a cactus or some shit?
Yeah, there was so many jokes like that. It was like a cactus for Kauai or something, because they wanted him to stay for the next year.
Yeah.
And it was just like the most memorable, like, I remember everything about that 6 hours, because like there was no alcohol in Jurassic Park, so I was sober. You were like sobering up, and so like we were just high-fiving strangers on the streets, joining in
dancing,
dance parties,
dance circles and everything, singing the Canadian anthem even though we didn't know it.
Do you remember the bus? Like,
Oh,
when we got
the
into
tram.
that tram? Yeah, like that was wild. There was like a tram in the middle of the road, and like hundreds of people were in it, like slamming the doors.
Yeah.
People lit up flares, and the music was going off everywhere, and I don't think we'll ever like experience anything like that again. So
That was history.
We got
History
great
was made.
photos. You got good videos on your GoPro.
There was like
and then
fireworks, flags being.
we were like one of the last ones to leave. I remember 6 a.m.
Yeah.
we were walking north towards Donna's apartment,
Yeah.
but like that's when people were like tired. They were
Yeah.
like, "All right,
It's like
that's enough."
6 a.m. in the
guys."
morning, and then
Yeah.
because the cops are pushing us down this
Yeah.
one road, which is Yonge Street,
Yeah,
which fun fact is actually the longest road in the entire world.
yeah, and then
It's
we
like-
got back at about like 6:30 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
So it was like 6 hours, but
Oh,
we'd been standing up for 12 hours basically because when we
Yeah.
got into Jurassic Park is around 5, 6 o'clock. It was just adrenaline that kept us on our feet for about 12 hours or something, and
Yeah.
then we just crashed.
I remember before we crashed, like there was still a part where people were standing on cars, and then there was like this man and his son at the back of his ute, and I remember I was like, "Yo, Daniel, we haven't stood on a car yet." Like,
Oh yeah, we did that. Hey,
Yeah,
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 we
so-
jumped on that. That was mad.
So I went to the guy, the owner of the guy in the ute, and he was like just with his son, like standing, so cute and so wholesome. And I was like, "Hey man, is it cool if we joined you guys on the back of your truck?" And he's like, "Yeah, come on boy, come on boy." And we jumped on. We're like, "Yeah," for like 10 seconds, and we're like, "Okay, it's time to get off."
Yeah,
Tick that off the bucket list.
yeah,
And then that's when we went back to Donna's house. Shout out to Donna Saunders. Like she gave us free accommodation and everything, treated us like her sons. And we ended up going back to hers, and then we had to sleep and everything. Woke up the next day. I don't know why, but we were watching the news. We were watching the.
yeah. I just wanted to see the reaction of.
Did you
like,
see it? Or was
yeah,
that me?
No, I saw it. It was on TV. Because it was just, I just wanted to see how big the celebration was. Because when you were there in person, like it felt crazy. But the news always has those like helicopter
footage.
and drone, and that was crazy. Remember when you saw the drone footage for the first time, and you just saw like people in the street,
Yeah.
and it just looked, there was like 1 million people out that night or something.
Apparently it was 2 million.
2 million or something. So I was just watching the news to get that footage, and then we saw this guy. It was like a news helicopter who was filming you on that screen that night.
No,
Like,
I think it
there
was
like,
someone
footage.
from the ground.
No, there was one on. There was literally like a helicopter view
Oh,
of
really?
you standing on the screen, like cheering and stuff. I forgot what the headline was, but it was pretty funny.
The headline wasn't about me. It was talking about the Raptors, but
Yeah.
like
It was like people are climbing everything.
And there's just a video of me like wearing my black jacket and my black hat, and I'm holding my GoPro. I'm like, yeah. Like you could tell that I'm like saying I'm from Australia.
You made the Canadian news, man. You can tick that off your bucket
man.
list, man.
That was the live news, but that was on the international television news as well. I was like, oh, what the heck? Like it just happened to be at the exact time that you turned it on as well.
Imagine your mum saw that. Or your dad.
I actually recorded it, but I can't seem to find the video anymore.
Yeah.
But
Hey, maybe we can go back and find it because sometimes they publish that stuff on
True.
on YouTube. You know,
True,
like
true.
the day after, like the clips of the celebration. So
Yeah.
it might still exist.
So yeah, that was definitely one of the craziest nights of my entire life.
Yeah, and then the next few days was just like the whole city was just like buzzing, like everywhere you walked, like people were smiling and stuff, and we were still wearing like our Raptors stuff, and yeah, like then we hung out with your cousin, and then we moved to that other Airbnb for a few days, and then we were just waiting because like we'd only booked flights for 1 week, and luckily the championship parade celebration was literally like on the day of my flight anyway. You were staying back to visit your family, but like pretty sure it was like a Sunday I think it was a Sunday, and that was the day of my flight. My flight was in the afternoon, maybe about like 3 or 4 o'clock, and the parade started at like 11. So we got out of our hotel and we were like lining up with the crowd, but by this time like it was hot and like everyone was tired from standing up, and the parade starts like all the way from one side of Toronto and it goes really slowly to the other side, and we kept waiting. We're like, oh, are they almost here? No. And it took almost like 2 hours.
No, it was 3 hours.
3 hours
We
of
actually
standing
waited
in the
3
sun.
hours.
But we got a really good spot.
We did.
We were right in front of this Air Canada Centre at that time. But it was pushing it for me. I was like, oh shit, like I got to get to my flight and everything. But I'm glad I stayed because like we saw all the players like up close and personal. We saw like Kawhi, we saw Drake on the bus. We saw Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
And we were like taking photos and screaming and everything. And then immediately, like as the last bus went past, I was like, shit, I've got like basically 2 hours left or something to my flight. And then I had to like, there was like no buses, no Ubers or anything because the streets are closed. But we were close to Union Station, Alex. So I went there. And then in Canada, like you have to buy this, there's like this direct train that takes you from Union Station to the airport. But the line to like buy a ticket to get on that train was like an hour and a half or something. Like, it was like the longest line because people had been traveling from outside of Toronto to come to Toronto for the championship celebration. So they were all trying to go home after the parade ended. And I was like, holy shit, like if I just wait here in line, I'm not gonna get to the airport on time.
Yeah.
So I did a similar thing as you. I was like shitting myself. I was like, oh my God. And then I just talked to a guard and I was like, I need to get to the airport in like my flight's at this time. But I can't get a ticket, like look at the line. And then thank you, Canadian officer. Like they're just so nice.
Yeah.
When you told them the situation, was it my birthday that day or something? I think it was my birthday. So I was like, it's my birthday.
You show me your card and
yeah, I was like, I'm from Australia and I need to get home on this flight. And he was like, follow me. And he literally took me to like some secret entrance.
Wow.
And like got me a ticket and I went right to the front of the line and I got on that train. I still have the ticket of that and got to the airport like with half an hour left basically and boarded the plane. Yeah.
Half an hour before your flight was about to depart.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Or it was like 1 hour, but by the time I got through security and stuff, it was like half an hour. Yeah.
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 Oh, I remember that so clearly because I kept telling you like, just don't worry about your flight and just stay with me, come visit with my cousins and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, nah, I need to go home.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I wasn't even supposed to be here.
Like I felt so fulfilled because everything happened. Like everything that we wanted happened out of that trip, and I was like, oh, I need to go home now, man. Like that was wild.
That's enough adventure.
That was like
spontaneity
the highest of the highs
for one lifetime.
Yeah. So yeah.
So that's so that was the end of his story, but my story continued because I went to go visit my family in Ottawa, and that's when I spent more time. I think I was there for another like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, maybe
quite a while.
Yeah.
And to cut it short, it was crazy because had the most wholesome time with my cousins Christine and Andrew and my uncle Siang and everything, and it was funny because my grandma was suffering from dementia at the time. It was like getting really bad. She couldn't even recognize who I was anymore, and that kind of broke my heart. And but the funny thing was, whenever she would see a picture of me, like of me, a 5-year-old self, she would talk to me as if like that picture was alive. She'll be like, "Oh, John McGuy, like, have you done anything today? Like, are you eating? Have you eaten yet?" And he's like playing the goo goo gaga, pretty much like that. And I was like, "Oh, it's so cute, but at the same time, it's so heartbreaking, man." And I remember so clearly, I was like, on my last day before I was about to fly back to Sydney, I was in the car park for Walmart. My uncle was going to buy something. It was just me and my grandma in the car, and she's sitting in the front passenger seat. I'm sitting at the back behind her, and I'm like just leaning forward and like hugging her from behind, and I'm like recording her, and I'm like, this will not be the last time. Like the whole time I'm just like making her laugh. I'm like singing to her. I'm just like trying to tickle her and everything, make her laugh, and she was just having a good time. I just felt so full in my heart. And then I remember recording a video, and I was like, this will not be the last time that I'm ever gonna see you again. I promise that. And it's crazy because it actually was the last time. Like that was the year before COVID happened, and then the next year she passed away, like mid 2020. And so I was just like, whoa, like it hit me so hard, and I was just like, I was kind of like blaming myself and stuff. I was like, fuck it, like my words weren't powerful enough. Like I said that wasn't gonna be the last time, but it was, and like I was just like in such a bad state, and I'm feeling so bad. But now looking back, I was just so grateful.
Exactly.
Man.
I was just gonna say, you could spin it the other way and think like, if we didn't go on that spontaneous trip,
exactly,
you wouldn't have had that video of you and your grandma for the last time. So
because the last time that I saw her before that, before 2019, was in 2018, beginning of 2018 in Cambodia, and that was like a year ago, and so because of me and Daniel making the most irresponsible decisions in the world, being so spontaneous, having no order, just making decisions on a whim, following our heart, and doing what we felt was right at the time. Like, I got to see my grandma for the last time, and I started my acting career. So like, it's just sometimes you just gotta make stupid fucking decisions, man. Sometimes you gotta make decisions that you feel are right at the time, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's so out of this world where you're like, that's the stupidest idea ever. But sometimes that could be the best idea ever. You might not see it at the time, but that was my experience, and me and Daniel's experience. Like, that was what I would say probably the best decision I ever made in my life.
Yeah, it was definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity, and that was like the biggest motivating factor for me, because I've been following the Raptors for a while, and I was like, they're never gonna be this good. So I was like, I gotta go now, because they might not make the finals. I'll be like 50, and I'll have like a kid. I have to like drop them off at school, so I can't just like leave my family. So I was like, I don't have a family right now. I can go right now. So that was kind of my like motivation.
Yeah, man. Like, so like, long story short, like, if you feel like you're gonna go to your deathbed one day and regret that you didn't do that decision,
do it.
Do it. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams, yo. Like, you gotta, like, it's so true that we regret the things that we didn't do more than the things that we did do.
Yes.
Because you can regret the things that you did do and feel like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But at least you had the experience of trying, and you know, and it's like you had a well.
Yeah.
You rather have a oh well than a what if. Like, exactly. What if is the worst. Like, oh, what if that happened? I didn't try. Like, oh, the possibility. Like, go ask that girl out. You'll never see her again. Go ask her out. Go hit on her. Go live overseas for a year. Try it out.
Yeah.
Like, just try something new. Like,
yeah, the worst thing you could possibly do is be disengaged with society, with work, with relationships, with your hopes and dreams. If you're just like, oh, it's too hard, or I'm too scared to try this, that's worse, like, to be not engaged in anything. You'd rather live a full life and try things and make mistakes and be heartbroken and take risks, rather than like not engage because it's too hard or too scary. Like,
facts.
That's the worst.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't succumb to fear. Like, I really like the idea of fear being face everything and rise. It's like you want to go through the fear, because that's when that's how you get out of your comfort zone. That's how your comfort zone expands, and that's how you grow.
Have you watched the movie Dune?
Oh.
Do you know the quote about fear?
No. Oh.
That's like my favorite quote about fear.
Do you know
it? Something about the fear shall like pass or whatever, and only I will remain or something. So it's basically saying that like I will face my fear, and when everything's like said and done, I'll be the last thing remaining. Yes. Because the fear would have like gone.
That would be the YouTube description for this video.
It's called Litany of Fear, and that's like a passage from the book, which is like one of my favorite things. I got to get that printed out and put on a poster.
Put on your wall.
Because you need a daily reminder about that. Like, so I remember after I watched that movie, every time I was scared to do something, I would just repeat the quote. I'll be like, like in my head, like just doing everyday stuff, like just basic stuff, just like
you to
cutting onions or something.
Yeah. Oh well, that's a perfect time to wrap up this conversation, because Daniel has to leave, and I'm scared that it's not recording. That's the worst fear. That's the worst fear. Yeah. That's a different kind of fear, by the way. But thank you so much, guys, for listening, and thank you, Daniel. I appreciate you, bro. My best friend.
Oh, man.
Bro, you see that? You see? That's how you can tell the brotherhood is strong. Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys next week. Have a lovely day, and go through your fear. Your fear is not going to stop you.
All right.
Wiggles this shit.